everyone, welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to review the newly launched Kay Beauty Foundation. They have launched 20 different shades in this, which is really cool considering other Indian brands who have very few shades available. And I have been testing this foundation since a few days. I have tested and used this foundation multiple times so that my review does justice and I can actually form my thoughts about these. So this video is going to be a detailed review. I've shared everything that I feel about this foundation. So their packaging is similar to their other products. It has the K logo and the shade name is written on the bottom of the bottle, and it's also written on the outer packaging, and it has 30 gram of product and it costs 1200 rupees, and it also has ingredient list. Finally, all other K Beauty products which they have launched before did not have an ingredient list. I saw a lot of bloggers talking about it, so it's good that they have started including an ingredient list. And I don't know if it matters, but what I've noticed about the packaging is like the foundation packaging as well as their compact packaging. So the color is same for all the shades, so this color does not represent what's inside. You have to read the shade name. So if you actually see the bottle, you would come to know the shade, but her compact powders, they all have the same color. So considering me who has multiple of these compacts, I'm not able to judge which shade is what, so I have to read the shade name every time. Actually it doesn't matter because most people would have just one product, right? But still, I just thought of mentioning this. The Kay Beauty compacts are amazing. I love their formula. I had reviewed them on my Instagram stories. I didn't make a separate video on that, so you can follow me on Instagram for such random reviews, and also I post a lot about my personal life. So now let's move on to the foundation. They have 20 different shades and they have divided it into 4 categories: light, medium, tan and deep. They have sent me 4 of the 20 shades and I have one foundation from each category. So one from light, one from medium and one from the rest 2 categories. And they also have a Kay Beauty number in the shade, and they also have a letter denoting its undertone. So N stands for neutral, Y stands for yellow and P stands for pink. My undertone is from neutral to warm. The neutral also works for me, but I mostly prefer warm shades. So among the 4 shades they sent me, 135 and medium was the closest match. I'm sure I can find a better match in this range. Yellow would suit me better. I've applied this shade right now, and after applying the whole face of makeup, you can't really make out that this is not my shade, so I can make it work. So what I'll do is I'll swatch all these 4 shades sent to me, and I'll also swatch all the foundations I personally own, and I'll write the shade names so that in case you have the same shades with you from these other brands, you can get a reference of how these Kay Beauty shades look like. I wish I had all the shades so that I could swatch, but till I reach there, let's just work with what I have. I'm definitely going to use the dark shades sent to me for my contour, and since it does not give a lot of coverage, it's going to give a really natural looking contour. So let's talk about the texture of the foundation. This is very creamy, okay? And the shade I swatched right now is 185p deep. It looks really yummy. I feel like eating it. It looks like chocolate. But yeah, I really love the texture of this. It feels like a moisturizer. It doesn't feel like a foundation. Like even when I rub my fingers together, it's feeling very soft. So there's one thing unique about Kay Beauty as a brand. So they of course make makeup products, but all their makeup products have a care ingredient in them. They also have skincare ingredients which are good for your skin. So this foundation has avocado butter, which provides intense hydration to the skin while also reducing the appearance of age spots and wrinkles. I'm just reading out the claims. It also has mango butter, which provides deep moisturization, and hyaluronic acid, which retains the moisture. So reading these ingredients makes the foundation even more appealing. So this was the basic introduction of the foundation. So now let's move on to the application and what I personally feel about this foundation. So let's first start with the application. I try to apply this foundation with my hands. I spread it with my fingers, and since it's really hydrating and creamy, you do get your finger strokes while applying it, but that's not an issue. You can just dab on it and it still looks pretty good. So I love the finish when I applied it using my fingers. I'm personally not used to using foundation with my fingers, but I know a lot of people who prefer putting foundation with their hands, so I just wanted to mention that it works really great with your fingers. Then I also tried the foundation with my regular foundation buffing brush, and I also tried it with a flat foundation brush. So finish of the buffing brush as well as the flat foundation brush looked almost the same, but what I noticed noticed with brush application is the brush absorbed a lot of this product. Since it's a creamy formula, it's not able to deposit the product with the brush properly. The brush is absorbing a lot of the foundation. That's what I've noticed. I also tried it with my beauty blender and I loved the finish the most out of all the three. So the sponge did not absorb a lot of product. It actually applied it pretty evenly and it looked very beautiful when I applied it with the sponge. So if I had to rate the application using all the three tools, I would rate beauty sponge as the best because I like the finish of it the best. The next would be your fingers. The application using your fingers looked very beautiful. I may be biased towards the sponge because I love sponge, but even the hand application looked very beautiful. And the third one would be brush. I did not like the finish with a brush that much because it did not give me much coverage. I could still see a lot of my skin imperfections, so that's why I'm rating it as 3. You can definitely use a brush if you are looking for more of a natural look. So this was the application. Now let's move on to the coverage and the finish it gives. So it claims to give a natural hydrating dewy finish, and I do agree with the hydrating part of it because it feels extremely hydrating on the skin. It is very lightweight, so when you build it up a lot, I tried to do that. I applied a lot of layers to really see if it makes any difference, and it did not feel cakey at all. It still felt very hydrating on my skin. It did not feel dry as such, so dry skin people are really gonna enjoy it. So for today's video, I've used the same foundation and I've not used any concealer. I've used the foundation under my eyes as well. I had to build it up a lot, but this is only foundation. If you want a tutorial on this look, you can check it on my Instagram reels and also YouTube shorts. But about the dewiness, when you apply it, it does look dewy because of the wet finish, but once it dries down, it does not look that dewy. Of course, it still has a little bit of sheen. It doesn't look matte, but still it doesn't give that dewy look. If you have oily skin, then it might give that dewy look after mixing with your natural face oils. But for dry skin people who just don't have any natural oils producing, it would not continue to give that dewy look for the rest of your day. You would have to apply some stroke creams, highlighter and a lot of face mist to really get that dewy look. But yeah, if you apply the foundation on its own, you won't get the expected dewy look, you know. You have to use highlighters for that. And the finish looks very natural. It does not feel like you have applied a foundation. So this is mainly for those of you who are looking for a very light coverage and those of you who like BB creams. So this is basically like a BB cream. If you just apply a little bit, it behaves like a BB cream. You can definitely build it up to a medium coverage, but it does not provide a lot of coverage. If you apply one layer, it's a nice sheer coverage. If you add more layers, then it can become medium, but then you would end up wasting a lot of product. So if you're mainly looking for medium to full coverage, that is to cover something up like spots and stuff, you would rather use some other foundation which is able to do that, because for those foundation, even little bit would go a long way. With this foundation, you would have to use a lot of it to really cover something, and you would just end up wasting the product, and it's not meant to do that. So as you can see, it is not able to cover my spots well. I have applied at least 2 layers, but still it did not cover it that well. It covered it thoda sa. It's not looking, you know, too dark. And matte foundations usually tend to be full coverage because that's how the formulation is. With a dewy and hydrating foundation, you can't really expect it to be full coverage, you know. Full coverage and hydrating, they don't go hand in hand. Full coverage has to be matte. It tends to be more drying on the skin. So if you are looking to buy this foundation, keep these points in mind. So I'll just list down a few points who this foundation is for and who this foundation is not for, so that you can make a decision whether you want to buy this foundation or not. So let's start with who this foundation is for. If you're somebody who prefers a really natural look for their everyday makeup and you love BB creams, you don't really want to cover something up, you still want your skin to show through, but still you want your skin to look better than your skin. If these are your requirements, you're gonna love this foundation. And along with these requirements, if you have extremely dry skin, then you're gonna love it even more, because this is not at all drying. The whole day it would still keep your skin pretty hydrated and moisturized underneath. Of course, you need to use a moisturizer like usual, but this foundation will not dry it up more. If you have combination skin, it can still work for you. If you have extremely oily skin, then you can definitely make it work, work by adding compact on top, because I don't think you would want a very dewy finish, right? Mostly oily skin people, they tend to go with powder. So if you have oily skin, this can still work for you. It doesn't feel greasy at all, okay? It might seem like, because it claims to be hydrating and dewy, but it's not at all greasy. If you give it time, it sets nicely on its own. It doesn't dry down complete matte, but it does dry down to a satin kind of finish. Then it doesn't really move. So even if your skin is producing a lot of oil, you can still apply compact on top and you can still make it work. So now let's talk about who this foundation is not for. If you like medium to full coverage foundations, if you want to use your foundation like concealer, like if you want to use very little of it just to cover some spots or cover your dark circles or just cover your skin in general, then this is not something which you are looking for, because this does not give a lot of coverage. It can give a medium coverage if you build it up, but you would be wasting a lot of product for that. It's better to use a full coverage concealer or a foundation and use little of that instead of wasting this product. This is mainly to give a very light layer on top of your skin, which looks pretty natural and which looks like your skin but better than your skin. So now let's move on to the wear test. I applied this foundation all over my face using a sponge, and I set one side of my face using the Kay Beauty Compact. The shade might look a little weird because I don't have my shade in the compact, so I used a pink undertone compact. So don't focus on the shade, just focus on the finish of the foundation and the compact. I haven't applied any other makeup on my face, just to show you how the foundation sits by itself and also with the compact. So it's 3:30 right now and this is how the foundation is looking. This side is without the powder and it is set by itself, okay? Like it has dried down. I don't feel dry at all, but it has dried down, okay? It doesn't have the same dewiness anymore. When I had applied it, it was looking wet, right? Like look at under my eyes, it has set, okay? I thought it will crease a lot, but surprisingly it's not. On my eyelids it did crease. Actually it had creased before it dried down, so that time it was wet, right? And with the movement of our eyelids it creases, so it creased that time, but the under eye and the rest of the skin is dried down and it looks pretty good. I expected my smile lines to crease, but they haven't. This side had compact on, so it looks a bit more matte, and even this side is looking pretty great, and the color looks a bit different because the compact was pink undertone. I don't have a yellow undertone compact. If you have oily skin, the dewiness would be even more. Since I have dry skin, the dewiness is not showing much because I did not apply any strobe creams or primers, nothing, right? But it's still not uncomfortable, you know, like how some matte foundations are actually cracky and it feels uncomfortable on your skin. It's not doing that even after applying so many layers. It is 7 PM right now and the foundation is still sitting pretty well. There's no creasiness happening even though it's not set with compact, and it does not feel dry at all. It doesn't even feel like I'm wearing something like a foundation or something. This is the side with the compact. Even this stayed pretty well. I'll also do a transfer test right now, so I'll just keep it on this side. This is the side with no compact powder. It barely transferred. Whatever you can see is probably my face sebum, so I think the coverage went down a little bit. And the side which was set with compact powder, the coverage is sitting pretty well, so this looks better. The coverage looks better. What I liked about it the most is that it does not crease. It's set by itself, because what I imagined is, since it's hydrating creamy formula, I thought it would sit just like that and it would crease. It would settle in your fine lines and everything. That's what I had expected, but that did not happen. So I'm quite impressed with the formula. I also did a wear test with full face of makeup. So in this I have set my under eye with powder and also applied blush, bronzer and highlighter. This is how my makeup is looking after around 5 to 6 hours. Ignore this part, it's because I had tears in my eyes while eating as usual. My under eye area still looks pretty good, like it's set well with the powder. There are some lines, but they are my own skin fine lines. It's not called creasing, everybody has them. And yeah, it's still sitting pretty well, as you can see. Only the part which was not set with powder is going off. It's not completely gone. Like on my forehead I still have some foundation, but here it's more obvious because I have spots there. So that was the wear test. Now let's let's discuss pros and cons. Let's discuss the pros first. It comes in 20 different shades, so you're definitely going to find your match in this range because it has a really dark, beautiful shade and it has a really light shade as well. And also all the medium and tan shades look to be very promising, so you're most definitely going to find your shade in this range. And it's a very comfortable formula. It does not settle into your fine lines, it does not cling onto the dry patches. It feels like a moisturizer, it does not feel like foundation at all. When you build it up, it does not look cakey at all. Just look at under my eyes. I have not used any concealer, okay? I have used only this foundation, but I've applied a thick layer of it just to cover everything up, but it still does not feel like I've applied like a thick layer, you know. I have definitely set it with powder, but still the foundation by itself did cover it pretty well. If you have extremely dark circles, it might not cover that. I had very slight dark circles, so it was able to cover it. It can work as your BB cream because it's very hydrating and moisturizing as well. So if you take a little drop of it and just apply it on your face like a moisturizer, it still is going to give very beautiful finish. It does not oxidize, okay? So when I did my wear test, I noticed that the color still looked the same. It did not oxidize at all. It does not give flashback. I tried to click my photo with the flash on. It still did not give me a white cast. Once the foundation sets, it does not move a lot, like it does not feel greasy. It sets really well and it does not settle into your fine lines. It also has good skincare ingredients which are also going to make your skin feel really comfortable and hydrated and moisturized. So there were a lot of pros. Now let's move on to the cons. The first con is that might seem a bit expensive for $1,200, but considering Kay Beauty as a brand and the quality and the ingredients of this, I feel $1,200 is justified. But yeah, it's subjective. If you're able to spend that much, then it's not a con. I would highly recommend it. If you cannot afford a 1,200 rupees foundation, you can definitely use other BB creams. The second con is that if you really want some coverage, you have to use a lot of this product, okay? So it might get over faster than your other foundations, because for my other foundations, I end up using very little of it and it lasts me for a really long time. With this foundation, I think it's not gonna last me that long because I end up using a lot of it. So yeah, I found only 2 cons. I cannot think of any other con. So that was the review and the wear test of the Kay Beauty foundation. I hope you found it helpful and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any other questions about this foundation, and please don't hesitate because I love to help you. I always try my best to reply each and every comment, so please do comment. And if you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. I upload new videos every Saturday. Today's comment shout out goes to Supriya Sharma. Thank you so much for your comments. So that was it for this video. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.